histories of, Lyndon B. Johnson when he took the black man out the family. Then you have shows like Good Times, and to show the black man and not being capable of being a father. Strong black woman, Esther had to be there for him. And Jefferson, black man with money, but he's a shiftless, trying to get over and cheat anybody he can get. Everything's a scandal. You put all that on there, then you have the fear of the black man because you had Reagan and everybody else pushing the fear of this black guy that's going to rob you and kill you.
With Reagan?
We're 13% of the population. No, I'm just saying, I'm just coming to it.
Oh,
okay, 13% of the population.
Right.
Okay, but we're in the black exploitation films and all these films, we're portrayed as being big, violent.
Yeah,
dangerous.
And I agree that has something to do with it. Let me ask you guys. So let's bring it back to the Ma'Khia Bryant case. The white officer that shot the black girl in Columbus, Ohio, that had a knife and was lunging at another young lady, 28-year-old lady. If he was paid $100,000 a year, the stressful situation that he was in, I think he shot her within 12 seconds of getting out the car. 11 seconds, thank you, of getting out the car. Would he have been less likely to shoot her because he made more money?
No, he would have shot. No.
Well, now that situation.
I made the original statement. What I was saying was the way that the way that our civil servants are paid, that adds a component of stress because they're like, oh, I don't make enough to deal with this type of shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that is a solution to all of these things.
Sure.
But now look at a country like a place like the UK. The UK, they ban guns, right? So you can get stabbed up in London. So they have created a system of how to handle people, mental health or not, when they have knives.
But one thing you have to understand, and because you brought that situation up twice, and obviously you don't agree with the shooting. And it's unfortunate that she was shot and killed. It's an unfortunate situation, but you do understand that that's going to be considered a good shooting.
I'm more upset with her life.
No, I want to make sure. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that's going to be considered a good shooting.
This is why.
But it's going to be considered a good shooting based on the scenario.
The one that she was about to stab, it's right to them.
Sure, and her family. I'm sure that they would say it, but Ma'Khia also had a family.
Yeah, he was in a no-win situation.
I think it was a no-win situation.
So you saying he should have shot him in the leg? She should have shot her in the leg.
Tased her, shot her in the leg.
Okay, and
tackled her.
Now the taser thing.
James, tell me this: how come they can de-escalate a white person in those same situations? Them motherfuckers have guns.
But you're talking about a white person that was charged at a police officer. They made a decision, regardless, they made that decision. We're talking about a third person being involved.
Third party
being involved at this point, though.
That's
the unfortunate part of it.
Well,
and you keep on saying 11 seconds, but you're being misleading with that. Because when you saw 11 seconds, he just jumped out of the car and started shooting. That's not the case.
He did.
No, if you watch it, he announced, no, hold on now, let's be truthful.
But it was still 11 seconds from the time he
should have shot the dude that was kicking the little girl over here.
Bro, I didn't interrupt you at all.
That's what he should have shot.
All I'm simply saying is this, and that's what hurts us as a people. Because an intelligent brother like yourself, very intelligent, you deliberately said he just got out the car shooting when you knew he announced.
I said within 12 seconds.
With 12 seconds, but what happened within that 12 seconds? He got out the car, had time to announce. If you clearly watch, he's going and he sees gun.
Great point.
If we go back now, could you off air play that video if you're capable of doing it and time it exactly how many seconds from the time he sees a knife to that he shoots? And and it may have been less than, it may have been 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. And what I'm saying is that stabbing people with a knife. He comes to the scene.
It's my understanding that actually her sister made the call. No,
it doesn't matter who called. The person said the person had a knife. That was originally part of a call. Listen to the 911 tapes. They admitted that they said a person had a knife. Okay, so when he gets to the scene, he's like, whoa, fight, everybody, chill. He's like, he's not doing anything over the top. And then all of a sudden he sees a knife going towards somebody's chest. It's knife.
So this,
bam, 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 bam.
So this
four
is,
times.
But this is the problem though with that. So I'll acquiesce that is true. When I said 11 seconds, I didn't say that he didn't. He just got out and shoot. You know, it was 11 seconds from the time he got out. I said from the time he got out, I said 12 seconds. He corrected me and said 11 seconds before she was actually shot. So, but the point that I wanted to make on this, because I think that we have to, you know, he barked out commands. I agree. I heard those commands as well. The problem is that when you are talking about the mindset of a 15-year-old kid.
But you're going your Monday morning quarterback.
But this is,
Your Monday morning quarterback. When you arrived on that scene, he didn't know if that was a 20-year-old, 26-year-old.
Forget the age. Forget the age. When somebody is in fight or flight mode, they don't hear that. She probably did not even hear this officer say what he said. We barely heard it even on the tape. She's fighting for her life. From what we understand, Monday morning quarterback, and I agree with that particular piece, particularly for this, is that these grown women were called to this house to beat her up. That's why they came. And so she's trying to protect herself. I understand the officer did not know that. But what I'm saying is that, yes, he barked out commands. What if she didn't hear those commands?
Doesn't matter.
So what you're saying is, so let me ask you this question. When we go with the what if factor, what if she stabbed him in front of the police officer? Stabbed that woman in front of the police officer? What's the what if then?
Now she's got a knife buried in the chest.
What's the solution at that point?
And your 20-year-old
factor,
daughter, auntie dies because a police officer
stabbed her right in the heart. We don't know she stabbed her right in the heart.
Didn't take the shot. You're very liberal with that.
The chances of a 15-year-old being able to stab someone in the heart that has no.
Oh man, you're past level.
Are you serious?
You are past level.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Where are you from? Where are you from?
You're saying age matters on where you stab somebody at?
No, I'm saying that a person who is not trained. I mean, she's not John Wick, so she.
That's the most dangerous person is the one that's not trained.
You know how many people get stabbed and shot in Atlanta?
Ashtray, I'm sorry.
And nobody has training. No, it's sad that the girl left her life, but
I'm saying, what if she did stab her though? If you're on the what if factor, and the police officer did not shoot, then what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he was in a no-win situation.
Then what?
You know, what were you going to say? Why didn't that officer take action? Because she was black?
No.
He didn't care because she was black.
But can I ask, but we've seen one case of where a Muslim Somali officer in Minnesota killed an Australian white lady, and they shuffled into the system. Everything. So your intuition and your senses are heightened in those situations. Back like that 4 times. If she had a knife or not, what is the conversation? Like, what is the genuinely speaking, and think about it. What would be the response to you shooting that white girl in the back like that?
Okay, first of all, the thing that's going to happen as soon as you take care of a shoot, what I would tell my officer to do was, hey, look, your heart's flooding, whatever, so you don't have to make a statement go away. It's the same way. You're talking about Atlanta Police Department.
I'm talking about
Atlanta Police Department.
And I get what he's saying. He's saying that if you actually shot him, shot a white girl in the back
with a knife, do you think that it would be all this Monday morning quarterback justifying your shoot of that white girl in the back?
It would depend on.
If the white girl had a knife,
was she going at a third party?
Same thing. If the white girl had a knife,
white girl, what was the distance?
Same scenario, distance, all that stuff.
Oh, same. No, it should have been a good shoot all day. It would be a good shoot all day long because you had the threat and it's to protect a third party. Now, if she was just running around with the knife, of course, I can't say he would have because we can't say what he would have did. It would have been handled differently. Then you could have pulled out a taser. You could have got a tactical unit over with a beanbag gun. All of these things you could have done. But at the time, you're clearly looking at. See, watch you.
What is that?
Okay, if you go back.
That's the dude kicking the.
Oh, that's the video.
Yeah. Kicking.
Now, let me ask you this.
Now he sees a gun.
Now
he sees a knife. Bam, 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 bam.
Now let me ask you this.
She's drawn all the way back.
Now let me ask you. coming up on a scene like that as police officers, is it protocol to pull your gun or the taser?
Neither. Neither, because at the time, if you don't see a knife or a threat, there's no reason to.
Because he pulled his gun when he got out the car. Did I see that right?
No, he didn't pull the gun.
He had his hand on his gun.
His hand on his gun. He didn't
On his gun?
No, he didn't pull it.
It was in the.
Yeah, he had his gun.
No, he pulled it. He pulled the gun when he saw the knife he's coming up with.
So
when he saw the knife, it's clear. If you watch the video,
So
his
again,
body cam.
so with that being said, with it being a knife,
and not a gun.
why wouldn't you pull the taser?
Because it's the distance that you are to him. And that's one thing. Okay, this is a good example. I'll bring this up. But taser is the perfect example of why national training is needed and necessary. The company Taser trains every single officer that carries the taser, and everybody is required to do the same forms and everything the same way. Now, the fallacies that come with a taser, everybody sees it on TV, and the guy from 10 feet, 20 feet away shoots a guy and he drops. It doesn't happen like that in reality. A lot of times, a close-in shot, the prongs won't separate enough to make the right thing. I think she had a jacket on. Not a foolproof thing. A taser's more of, I have a taser, like say if me and you had a knife. Me and Sykes come on the scene. Okay, you got a taser. I'm gonna deploy my taser, cover me. He'd step out, have a gun on the center of your chest in case when I deploy the taser, it doesn't work and you charge. There's no guarantee that a taser is gonna work. A lot of times, both prongs hit. If a person's high or if they're mentally off, a taser doesn't work.
Sure. Now, in this case, like I said, I think I looked at the video maybe 3 times. I haven't looked at it a lot. But I don't know what the call was. I think it was a domestic disturbance call. Am I correct?
Domestic disturbance, somebody trying to stab somebody with a knife.
Yeah, there was a knife call.
Okay, it was a knife call. So with it being a knife call, and of course this may go to the whole training aspect of it, with it being a knife call, wouldn't it just seems like the taser would have been the first thing to grab?
No, because
And again,
you don't take a taser to a knife fight.
Okay, so you take a gun to a knife fight?
Yeah.
Yes, you
And
do.
you're trained for that.
You go one
So
step.
again,
above
it
the
comes
threat.
down to the training thing.
A knife of key just as quick though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Knife key just as quick.
but when we, and I get it, if it's me coming against Mike, yeah, I'm gonna shoot him instead of letting him stab me. But as a police officer that's supposedly trained to de-escalate and not kill,
But she was trying to stab.
It was
Yeah, I got
She
that
was
part.
there with a knife,
but he
it would've
pulled
been
his gun
handled totally
first. That's what I'm saying. He pulled his gun first.
He sees, if you watch that video, he clearly does this. He's walking like his hand on the gun.
And stop right there.
Stop.
Wait. Stop right there. He pulled his gun first. That's what I'm saying. He had his hand on his
gun.
He had his hand on
his gun. He didn't pull it.
And then he pulled
when
it.
He saw the threat.
Right. But
That's when he
again,
pulled
this
the
is what
gun.
I'm saying. When he had his hand on the gun, I don't know. Where's the taser?
It's on your
Should've been on the left.
non-dominant
It should've
side.
looked-
It's on your
yeah.
non-dominant side.
So on the non-dominant side.
Yeah.
So if your right hand is
Damn.
on your left side.
And it faces
That's whack.
and the handle faces forward. It doesn't even face the same way.
Yeah, I've never worn a taser, so I wouldn't know about that. But
But I think, honestly, I think the real conversation should really be about how it's unfortunate. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, after investigation, it's such a split second response. It's going to be deemed a good shoot.
Yeah.
And honestly,
I
at the
believe
end of the day, it's a tragedy. But what's the biggest tragedy is why the hell some grown ass women were allowed access to this teenage girl because
now we talking.
because she's fighting for her life.
But wait.
In that
Hold
situation,
up.
I got to get this out because don't nobody talk about it. You know what I mean? This young lady did not have the mental capacity to even understand that if she went outside with a knife, even though the police had been called for her, that she would end up a victim. The ball was dropped on so many levels with this situation.
Yeah.
First of all, why is this girl even in foster care?
Yeah,
this girl's a straight A student.
She was in foster care, and supposedly the argument was about the house being cleaned. That's what the argument was about.
Cinderella in that girl.
Now,
And it goes, and you take it to another incident, JT. Just on a 13-year-old boy, just on that incident, the type of situations, the 13-year-old kid that gets killed. What was that?
You talking about Adam Toledo?
Yeah. Why is he out at 3 o'clock in the morning with a gang members?
Because
y'all know my thing is
let me tell you something.
accountability.
I'm totally with you on that. All day.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about this shooting and the dude over here kicking because the
In the
young lady
outrage
went
that
at
nobody said anything
she
about
knocked
that.
one young
Exactly.
lady down first, and then she turned around and went at the young lady that was holding the dog. But while she went at the young lady that was holding the dog, there was a grown man kicking
Female.
a female over here. Has he been charged? I hadn't seen his name nowhere.
But see, my point is that as a people, we need to start doing that before we get loud and wrong.
Right.
A lot of times. Identify the facts, because a lot of things is going to go to change the policies and the idea and how police officers think in America is if, as a people, we're above reproach. Should you have to be that way? No, but this is America. So one thing I would go and I talked to on several shows, we should teach our young black children, used to say males, but now it's females too because they're getting locked up, but basically train them how to deal with law enforcement. Loud doesn't make right. Aggressive doesn't make right. And what happens a lot of times, just like we have to be responsible as a people, because when you make a comment joking, I know it's a joke because I know where your heart is, brother. You care about us as a people. Okay, but when you make a comment like LeBron did, or you make a comment like Will Champion and allow somebody, now think about it. Now, they'll block us for having music on YouTube, but why don't they block that black person that deliberately antagonizes the police?
Man,
and
y'all ain't got the right. No, respectfully
let me finish.
speaking.
No, let me finish, bro. I'm gonna let you talk. Can I finish,
this
bro?
is ridiculous.
Can I finish?
Let him finish.
And what I'm simply saying is this. What I'm simply saying is this. When that happens, I'm not talking about intelligent people that we can look at in the laugh. Or so, man, he got on that officer's skin. Haha. I don't predict anything funny, but some people may find it funny. But what really's hurt is that kid that's going to inner city Atlanta school, not Mays, not Doug, not Grady, but some of the other ones that year after year after year fail.
So because we disrespect you,
No, I'm not
You can
saying
shoot
this.
us.
No, I'm not. No, you get
That's
me
what it
wrong.
sound like, though.
No, I'm not saying that.
But that's
When
what
I'm
it sound
saying
like.
that.
No, it's
okay,
not-
let me
it's not
change
what-
that.
it's not what- it's
what
not what
I'm
it sound-
saying
it's not what
is,
he's saying.
when we do that, it creates a culture of discontent.
No,
and
the culture was
no.
already
Can I
there.
finish? I'm not saying
No,
about the
no,
wrong shit
because you
that
beg-
happens
I
in
got to
America.
beg for due
A lot
process.
of
I'm
wrong
not finna
shit
beg
happens
for
in
due
America.
process. No, I'm not
okay?
doing it. I'm not
Cops are
begging
wrong
for
in
it.
America a lot of
Trained.
times.
I'm not.
But what I'm saying is when you're letting kids that are undereducated and you're teaching them the way to do it is be combative. And then you're getting maybe a racist cop, maybe a cop that is flawed with bad training, and you're putting those two together. It's like oil and water; they don't mix.
He's basically saying, how does that help the situation?
It's not helping.
How does that help?
Now we need to train officers
I
better.
agree
But see,
that it
There
doesn't
should be
help.
more
You're
cultural
right.
training.
Signed up.
Wait.
Police
But
officers.
Even when I comply,
but from
there's
both
still a good
sides.
chance, depending on who the cop is.
It's not a good chance. It's not a good chance.
Well, it happens.
It
Way more than it should.
there is a chance,
With the millions of
unfortunately, but it's not a
interactions
good chance. The chance of you complying and still getting shot and killed are much slimmer than somebody that complies.
So I have to
let's
say-
just be realistic
I
about
have to
it.
say, yeah. I mean,
But the issue is
it's not great. I mean, yeah,
That's
not
all.
100%.
That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
yeah. But the thing is, like you said, how does that help? How does that help the situation?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But how does it help the situation if the officer is coming in with a one mindset already? So it's both sides.
Already,
Exactly.
Because of
You
the color of
still
my
ain't
skin.
acknowledged
It's
the
both-
culture.
it's both
And what I
sides.
say at the end of every show, and you hear me say, what I say, if anybody has an incident
File a
where they've been
complaint.
mistreated, report it. Call for a supervisor on the scene when you're out there.
the problem is
the
with that
change
is,
has to-
and I get it.
You jacked up
And
real
but
quick.
hold
Let
up,
me
hold
get-
up.
go
I get it. I get what you're saying.
You know it.
But the problem, let's face it, man, life is life. And if somebody is out there having a good time, they're not illegally drunk because they're not driving. They're just having a good time and they
Cops
got
be
a little
escalating,
alcohol
what you
on.
about to say.
And you know, it's
Cops be
hard
escalating
for
shit.
somebody to tell somebody that's when they feel they're wrongly accused to say, calm down and just report it after you go to jail.
You signed up to deal with combative people.
What they saying is calm down to live the fight, to live to report it. You know what I'm saying? It's like we were having this conversation last week with some of the younger football guys.
I'm not a real threat.
And they were saying the same type of things. The vigilant. I'm not gonna. And my question was to them is that what you're gonna tell your son? Is that what you're gonna tell your son?
Now, Lo,
to fight it, to be ignorant, to be loud, to be these things. Is that what you're gonna tell your son?
I don't condone that. And as a matter of fact, there's a measure of accountability.
But I'm saying, but who's listening? That what he's trying to say with these videos is who's listening, who's watching.
Exactly.
Who's watching? They're watching and say, "Oh, that was funny. This is what I'm gonna do." And then what? How does that?
They try to outdo it like every other YouTuber.
You know, go on both sides.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. You know how you reach the young people. The mindset has evolved. There's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of you gotta spoon feed me a particular message. What I would say is for brothers like you to have this experience, you gotta come to them and acknowledge this shit. One of the reasons why they act like this is because nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. Now people say that they care, but you know what I'm saying. But you have to kind of come meet them with their.
Excuse me, engineer.
Feel like they care about you. Just acknowledge it, and then teach them the game after that. But when we don't acknowledge it, and then we're trying to teach them the game, they're gonna be like, "Nah, bro, that's not my reality." You know what I mean? So I completely agree. How we act, I got home training, Low. You already know. I know how to conduct myself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I've also
acting here when you on the traffic stop, you're gonna be.
You already.
Also, how you doing now?
You already know. I'm not about to kiss his ass, but I'm gonna be very respectful of the position that he's in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to kiss your ass.
But when you don't kiss their ass and you don't say yes sir and no sir, yes ma'am. I have 3 incidents in Atlanta that has happened to me where I was stopped.
I'm with you on that.
And I don't call anybody sir or ma'am. It's not because I don't think that's the only way. I know you don't have to, but some police expect that, and when you don't, they
how many incidents have you had?
3.
How many times you filed a complaint? Exactly. Exactly.
And the reason is
you're at 98% on that question.
I go out to a scene or a sergeant.
How many complaints did Derek Chauvin have against him before he killed George Floyd? How many complaints did Derek Chauvin have on him before he killed George Floyd?
And I know you're talking about Atlanta, but we talking about that.
And this is what I said. And this is what I said on another show, and I'll say it on this show. One of the things that we need to have is a national database that records all use of force complaints.
Nah, because it's going to be a states' rights issue, and once it becomes a states' rights issue, nothing will ever be passed in terms of uniformity, and you know that.
No,
you know that
because of the blue wall that you
what it would stop. What it would stop. No, what it would stop. Once you have, if you've got a conviction on a maltreatment, 3 maltreatments, and it also, that follows you. So if you move to another state, another jurisdiction, that goes with you. That's what I mean by a national database. What happens now?
You was talking about ABC and traffic stops, but if you want to talk about a national measure of accountability to where you can't get fired for negligence on one job and then go across country and get another job, hell yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, a national database, because what it does is say if JT worked for Atlanta and he whoops a guy's ass and gets convicted, before he's fired or the package, and this is something else they should stop. Officers can't resign and get another job. They have to let that package be cleared before they can get a job at another jurisdiction. Because what'll happen is JT's a piece of shit, so he goes, he quits.
Why you gotta do you like that, bro? Why you gotta do you like that?
I gotta use example.
I'm glad you used you, because last time you used me.
He whoops somebody's ass.
Y'all is a piece of shit on
He whoops somebody's ass. He knows he's gonna be fired. It's on body cam. It's unjustified. What does he do? He goes down and resigns the next day. You know what happens? Atlanta takes that file, puts it away. He goes on. Now he gets hired in Cobb. Now he goes out and whoops your ass one night because you get a little mafia with him on the stop. Still within your rights, but he whoops your ass. Okay? Same thing. Before you can file that complaint, and you don't even complain, so we don't have to worry about you. You just told the ass for him. So then he goes on and he gets another job, 3rd job. Guess what happens this time?
Lighter.
He shoots a kid in the back of the head on a traffic stop. and then everybody. That's what happened. That's how that happened.
So you disagree with the fact that Derek Chauvin had like 12 complaints?
No, it does. But I'm saying if you had a national database where
We
it's
don't.
not up to
But what we
saying
do have is the
things
fact that he had multiple complaints levied against him, and he still and nothing
At the
was done.
same
No, but see,
police
like,
department. He didn't
Yeah,
go to
that-
some
that-
other
that-
police
And
department.
that's an agency that's an agency issue. That's
That's
an
an
agency
agency
issue,
because
which is what you have to get fixed. And that's why we keep saying what the problem is. That's why he's talking about the National Police Academy. You have to have things. If we can create TSA just like that, they can create this. They can do it.
Yeah.
They can do it. It's just a matter of they don't. It's not a concern to them. You know what I mean, why? Because it's us getting killed.
I mean, it's-
so they don't. So it's not a concern to them.
Everybody agrees that this is a culture thing.
No,
right?
there's no question that it's a culture
So you
thing.
agree that this is a
There's no question. There's no
Okay.
question.
Show's
There's no
over.
question.
Yeah, we.
Gotcha.
That was it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
because
Good night.
the crazy thing
the
is,
show, and he was like, "I disagree."
No, but I mean,
But see, the
no,
crazy-
not
the
a
crazy
culture,
thing
not
is
a
that-
and
culture.
all of your
But it's
examples have
not all
displayed.
what I'm
Thank you,
saying.
ladies.
is
Look,
Good
culture.
night.
but to see, the crazy thing is he said TSA, but the crazy thing with TSA, it's a national training thing.
National.
Well,
But
but it's a
but wait,
national
but look,
organization. It's not
but each state.
But how was it
has-
created?
But
Atlanta's
each state
universe.
though still, I can go through Atlanta, Hartsfield, and I ain't got to take my watches off.
Oh yeah, you know them niggas.
But then I'm coming out of Vegas, and I got to take my watches and my
You gotta
shoes
get
off.
naked.
It's
There's still
again, it's
differences
still
in how
differences
TSA
even with
does
that. TSA,
But it's a start.
I get it. It's a start.
Yeah.
But TSA has different rules,
Or,
and I don't get
even
that.
with your and you're saying with your federal police officers. You know what I mean? I mean, try run up in some of these federal buildings.
Now-
These
now-
guys on
yeah.
a whole nother level.
Now, I think that's other than the Capitol building.
the real gang
when
right
they
there.
kind of
Right.
Other than the Capitol building when they kind of ran up in there. Other than that, I'm with you.
They old
When
laid
they-
them
but-
dudes
but-
up in
yeah.
there. Well, they old laid them
But my
dudes up
point
They
is,
shouldn't have done that.
those are the things that can be. Those things can be done because a lot of times you have a lot of these, like the lieutenant who got stopped. I don't even know the name of that county. It's such a little small little agency. Nobody, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
But
I mean, they were so bold.
because
Bro, they was
just
on-
imagine how many times they do it.
They was on the body cam and just saying,
Man, they
you know,
ain't-
listen,
they
if you don't
ain't
report
give-
this,
they ain't give-
everything
they
gonna be
ain't-
all right.
You know what it
Damn,
was?
that
You know what
brother was
happened?
in the uniform.
That after the officer calmed down and realized, oh shit, I done effed up. So what he tried to do
Clean
is
that
cut a
joke
side deal. Hey, buddy, I'm not gonna cost you your job. I'm gonna just let this go, and
Yeah.
we can both walk away.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. And you know what also happens? And I'm not messing with you, Mike.
He reported it. I give
You're
you
part
that.
of the problem.
He reported
because
it.
you're a very articulate brother that could take your tail down to OPS department and articulate what happened. You know what's going to happen? They're going to pull that officer's body cam, and it's going to have an effect on that officer because how it works in departments that are operated properly, and most of them in the metro Atlanta are, the major ones anyway, Gwinnett, Atlanta, Cobb, DeKalb. What'll happen is, even if it's not sustained, for whatever reason, once you get 2 or 3 in the same category, they have officers that investigate you. They start doing reviews of your body cam.
So let me tell you the only reason I didn't
that's an issue
I didn't
too.
complain. There are 2 reasons. One is I don't believe it'll do any difference. But the biggest reason was because nothing happened. I mean, I didn't get a ticket because
doesn't
he pulled
matter.
me over for no reason and stuff like that. And so I was able to get up because he realized that I wasn't just an average nigga that was dumb and stuff like that. And I started quoting
Exactly,
the law.
but that's why you
so I
should've
was able to
complained.
get out of it. But he still talked to me like I wasn't shit.
But that's why you should
But
have
it wasn't.
complained.
It wasn't that.
It is serious because see,
And the
you're part
problem
of the problem
is too many people say it wasn't going to do anything.
Exactly, and you're part of the problem.
So if 50 people
Because
say
you're
the
type
same
of person that
thing,
needs
then
it.
that one person who finally does complain is like, oh, well, he don't have no other complaints.
Yeah, well, they complained about
Exactly,
Derek Chauvin,
and you can
then that happened.
articulate, and
To
you would
him,
be
so,
able.
I mean, we have many incidences that.
Exactly.
to
No, we
prove that it
don't. No, we
that
don't
shit
prove it
happen.
because people, as a
Doesn't-
people,
yeah, doesn't prove it.
everybody that comes on this show, what I ask everybody the same thing: did you?
They look to burn police officers. I'm telling you, we hated OPS because they'll file complaints. Somebody file complaint for the simplest thing, and you be like,
I might
what?
do it. I still got that.
I've gotten called
Yeah,
OPS
no,
too
you
many
got
times.
that
I know.
They
complain about anything.
And I had my attorney on the line
I
when
told-
they pulled me
I
over.
totally-
That's the first thing I do. I call an attorney so that they know that somebody else is on
Okay,
the line.
see,
I totally
Now
believe
look,
that he did that too.
And but see, my point is, y'all were laughing when I said that. Y'all were laughing when I said that we should train young black men and women how to deal with law enforcement. But you just said things that if you got in front of a group of young black men and taught them, even if they didn't have an attorney, if you just do the old trick, have an attorney card and you pull officer over and hand in that card out the window, officer's demeanor are totally changed.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is we teach young black men and women to articulate. And when somebody like yourself who's capable of filing a valid complaint, go down and complain when maybe the kid from the hood that can articulate it, but you've already filed a complaint and it's similar enough, but it's, hey, this is your second incident of not knowing how to handle people.
See,
And you know what they're going to do? They're going to randomly pull 4 or 5 of his other body cams and see. They're going to pull other body cams and see if that's how that officer normally carries himself.
I appreciate what you're saying in an urban setting, but we all know that Atlanta is its suburbs, right? And outside of that, you know what I mean?
Was in Cobb.
So you have 159 counties.
One was
and the ability for smaller populations per capita to be able to use those tactics is greatly diminished. You know what I mean? You can do that type of stuff in a metropolis. But when you're dealing with a police force that has, 12 people on it, and you're a young brother and you getting pulled over, like you're pretty much getting pulled over in Mayberry. You're getting pulled over in post-antebellum Mayberry. Those type of tactics don't necessarily work. You know what I mean?
They still work.
And there's also a rebellion against the far left anyway when it comes to these type of things. You know what I mean? So if you come in and you know a little bit of your rights in these small hillbilly towns, oh, you was an uppity nigga, and we got ways of dealing with uppity niggas. So once again,
that's facts.
So my whole point in all of this is that these two things can mutually exist. Accountability amongst black people and persons of color to understand that we are behind enemy lines, and also an acknowledgement of a systemic racist culture that exists within law enforcement. Those two things can be acknowledged, and we can tackle both of those things and accomplish so much.
But let me say this to you, Bronze.
When we want to argue which one carries more weight.
But they have to be acknowledged. And let me just say this. I don't disagree with anything you just said. But the only problem I think that people in general, and we go back to the salaries and all those things, you know what I mean? We are attacking the lowest echelon of the problem. You know what I'm saying? We're not attacking the higher echelon of this problem. So you're not going to get to the solution by destroying all the police officers. Say all police officers, put them all in one barrel, they're all bad. You know what I mean? All y'all cover up things, because they all don't. This blue wall, there is a blue wall on certain things, but I'm gonna tell you something.
It's not.
It's not. There is nothing in my time on the police bar. I wasn't there 30 years, but on my time on the police, there was nowhere in the world I would allow any officer to destroy a black person's humanity in my presence and not do nothing about it. I would have never have done it. It would have never happened in my presence. And guess
what? How
what?
many times did somebody get pulled off that you witnessed an officer pull another officer off if he was going too hard?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's happened. Oh, it's happened. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't happen in certain people's presence. But those particular officers who do those things know who they can and can't do it in front of. Yeah. They know this. Right. So that wall may be there for certain people for certain instances.
Let me ask this.
Now, I'm not going to the blue wall, if I know Mike over there in his cut, I'm not going to tell. You know where MJ at? Nope. Yep. Have you seen him? Nope. Yeah. You know
I've never cracked my whole career. let me ask Let's just get that straight.
I think I value what you guys are saying. One, because you have the experience and you lived it. Two, because you're talking specifically about Atlanta. I think that all of the things you're saying are true for Atlanta, because what percentage of the Atlanta police force is black?
Oh, it's probably about.
Yeah, you talked about 65%.
Yeah, about 60. About 60-40 now. 60-40.
What other city in this country has a 60%, a majority black police force? So while I agree that a lot of that stuff can and probably does work here in Atlanta, because 65% of people look like me. They have the mentality and the value system of low. They respect their people. They love their people. That is not true in 99% of police forces across this country. That's why, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
not
why-
talking
but-
specifically
Yeah,
about
we're not
that's
Atlanta.
why
speaking
it's
specifically
important.
about Atlanta.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is that's why it's important to get the message out when you're on different shows and you're traveling the country, to put the message out to file a complaint, put the message out to call a supervisor to the scene. In Georgia, it's required if you ask for a supervisor, they have to bring one out or tell you why the supervisor's not coming out, get your information so the supervisor can contact you later at a later date.
If you don't die.
But the fact now that just about every jurisdiction has a body cam, what a push should be by the ACLU and other different groups is to require that the feds pay for body cams because it's very expensive. And a lot of the departments that originally started with body cams stopped carrying body cams because it got too expensive to storage. It's the biggest racket that's out there. There's only one company doing it and they're raping cities.
You know what? But
For the storage.
you know what's interesting about that is that one thing that we haven't talked about is the over militarization of the police that occurred once the Patriot Act was passed back in 2001 when they rushed that Patriot Act through. It allocated an enormous arbitrary amount of funds to the police force. So while we're complaining about body cams, but you got tanks, you got all of this other
That
tactical
doesn't
equipment.
affect the average person.
You
What
said
you
what
should
now? I'm sorry.
that has little or no effect on the black community. What the Patriot
What
Act
you mean?
did.
What
Let
you-
me finish.
hold on.
Let me finish.
Hold on,
What
hold
the
on.
Patriot Act did that destroyed us. They used the Patriot Act as an excuse to get easier wiretaps and things of that nature.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
how they
pretty
screwed
big
us.
bill, brother.
That's how they screwed us.
But my point is
Utilized
that
weapons,
but you made it a point.
If a tank shows up,
But you made it a point to complain
There's
about
a
the
reason.
cost of body cams when
Yeah,
there
he's
were
saying that
where
the
there were
Patriot Act should have
billions
been
of
paid.
dollars
Yeah.
that were allocated that could have been paying for that instead of paying
no,
for
it couldn't
ballistics.
because those
is what I'm
all the
saying.
money that was spent in the Patriot Act and the money funding that came had to go for certain types of law enforcement.
See,
It wasn't. They shouldn't have it that way. But you couldn't use it how you wanted to use it.
You couldn't use it
for
on
power.
body cams.
That's the
No,
issue.
body
That's my
cams didn't
exact
exist at
point.
that time. Body cams didn't exist. It's more modern.
They chose that.
Yeah. No,
Body
Nah,
cam-
body
didn't
cam
have
went around. They didn't have body cams when I was on the
went around.
force. They
Body
didn't have
cams
them back
went
then.
around. But when body cams came out, a lot of departments jumped on it because they had funding or they may have seizure money and bought them. But as soon as they found out how much the storage was, and then the feds came in and told you how long you had to maintain that tape. So you're getting into a slave contract with one company that has it, and they set the price. So most departments said, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. And what departments do you think that was? The departments that are 90% white, or in such a rural area where it may not be poor blacks that are being mistreated, but it's poor whites, Latinos if you're in Texas or wherever. And so that's what was occurring. So it's not just a black issue, because remember, we're 13% of the population. Don't think bad apples just exists with black people. It exists with everybody. But on this thing, it goes back to what I said. If we start complaining and then we train young black men and women how to react to the police and what their actual rights are, then you're going to handle things differently. Because just like if you notice, as soon as you started talking, and that also realized, one, you weren't dumb. Two, you're a grown-ass man and you knew what you're talking about. Then his whole demeanor changed. He may not have liked you, but he wanted to get the hell out of there as quick as possible. Here's your driver's license. So even if he gave you a ticket, he's like, here, bye.
So where's the common human decency?
He was trying
It's
to
not.
Where's the common human decency to treat someone regardless of your metric test, your intellectual analysis of that person to deem whether or not they're worthy of qualified human treatment? Like
That's
you
why-
guys
But Brown, that's an individual.
It's
That's an
idealistic, I
individual
know, but I'm still
situation,
gonna come
though.
to
I
the
mean,
point, though.
I understand. That's an individual situation. See, what we didn't want to do. We're not here to try to defend wrong.
Yeah, you can't defend.
We're not here to defend wrong. You know what I mean? And I don't think either one of us are here to even try to defend police officers in general. You know what I mean? But certain things we have to just try to give a realistic version from the other side. You know what I mean? Just from the other side. Because a lot of times, if you haven't been on this side, you're never going to be able to understand it. No matter how many times we tell it to you, you're not going to be able to understand it. That's why we can, MJ and I and other officers, we can look at certain situations and we can say good, bad, maybe, you know what I mean? Because we just see the other side. Now, what you're saying is those people who do these things, the people who, this Derek Chauvin idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a real police officer that will ever defend that. You're not a real one. They will never defend. There's some ignorant folks out there.
Got badges.
No.
Real badges and real guns.
No. There's some ignorance out there. There's still that systematic racism. It's out there. No one is going to deny that it's not out there. No one's going to deny there's not some racist cops out there. No one's going to deny there's some jokes who just get bullied in school and it's their chance to get. No one's going to deny those things. No real person's going to deny those things. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying to you is, and from our culture standpoint, is we have to figure out, we have to stop attacking the bottom level. We have to start attacking the top level. We have to start demanding certain things from a higher level for the police department, from the justice system in general, because not just the police department is systematic racism, it's the justice department in general throughout this country is based on systematic racism.
So that is perfect.
It goes hand in hand because it's allowed from here and it just filters down. You know what I'm saying? But just imagine if you had something that, MJ, when we talk about teaching our youth, like my son's high school, for example, they actually have a law enforcement class. I thought I was amazed it had it. Just imagine if every single school was required to have a law enforcement class for every single student going into no later than their freshman year. It should be in middle school, but no later than your freshman year. You're mandated. That's just as required as Algebra 1. You know what I mean? So you can get those ins and out of law enforcement. You can see, you can learn. You can learn some of these laws and rules, and you'll know more things that you're talking about. You know what I mean? And then so the police officer is just not just that enemy person that you see.
I understand that, which is why I said about 5-10 minutes ago that accountability amongst our people can coexist with a cultural bias against said people. We still have an obligation and responsibility to preserve ourselves first and foremost. You know what I mean? But when we hear these conversations, it seems like it doesn't have to be adversarial. It has to be an acknowledgement that police do fucked up shit. And because they have been able to get away with it for
decades, there are police officers who do. Go ahead.
But you can't. But that's my thing, though, Lo. That's my thing. You can't say that.
But you can't put them all in the same bubble.
But you can't say that the system.
He said there are police.
I'm saying there are police.
He said
police officers. And I get what he's saying in regards to the whole acknowledgement, because if you keep saying that it's not police, then it's hard to acknowledge that anyone in the police force actually does anything.
There are police officers.
With Derek Chauvin, bruh, they put him.
But I'm saying
he's a millionaire. That dude is a millionaire.
They put him out there. They put him out there
to get paid.
He was that sacrificial lamb, and I do believe that. I do believe he's going to write 2 books while he's in prison. I do believe he's going to write at least 2 books while he's in prison. It's probably going to be a movie made about his life, why he ended up, why he is. He's going to make a lot of money.
He'll come out on top.
The simple fact that in America we have to have classes that we're proposing to teach classes for young people on how to deal with the police is exactly what their problem is.
Not necessarily how to deal with police, but understanding the law in general, which will teach you how to deal with police.
Why don't we have those classes about other people? But what it is that
because you're not gonna the chance
you're running to a doctor every day.
Thank you.
And your life can't be.
But hold up.
The way that we're describing, you ain't gonna run into a doctor. That's what I'm saying. It's the luck of the draw, man. Like we just acknowledge that it is the luck of the draw, and that nobody in here, no matter how good your heart is, can overcome, number one, the human condition, and number two, this system that has been created that you guys chose to work in. This is a chosen profession.
No comment. I got a call on the line. State your name, caller.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jesse.
What's up, Jesse?
What's good, bro?
It was good.
All right, bro. I knew you, Jess. I knew you had something to say. And I had a feeling.
Man.
I had a feeling that you didn't have the phone number. That's why I put it in the text. So go ahead, say what you got to say, bro. I saw you smoking a cigar earlier today, so I know you're really intellectual right now. Cigars do that to you. So go ahead, come with it.
About which part, man? Like,
hey, man.
After the trial, like.
You can start off with after the verdict.
Where
should we go now?
Well, I mean, the verdict itself was, he fell on the sword. He had to fall on the sword in this scenario for the system to maintain itself. Because, they done burnt the city down enough times, and the city wasn't going to take another L for another cop. I think that the issue here that we all, as Americans, period, need to address is the fact that it's a thing. That it's controversial. Like, there shouldn't have been this long a trial. It shouldn't have been this drawn out. It shouldn't have been this much fanfare. Dude killed a dude. He should have been in jail, and that should have been it. But as far as moving forward, we need to recognize that dude is just a byproduct of the system, and not, an anomaly. I did my time in the military, and one thing I learned is, I had to deal with cops. I had to do cop training and a bunch of other stuff. And the thing I learned was that, for us, you had to have a gun pointed at you before you can shoot somebody. Let that sink in. Ain't no such thing as, we thought, I could, nope. And it's taking that serious. So we need to address the system in itself. We need to address why the system is like this. And it's, we as Black people in America, we know the story all too well. And what I find is that racism in America isn't to point out Black people. The racism against us is a byproduct of what the issue is. All this stuff is done to keep poor, ignorant white people poor and ignorant and complying with the system. So you bring this dude on here and you do the dog and pony show, but in the midst of this dude going on trial, like 5 more people got killed during the trial. In the same system. Oh, well, this guy was a bad person. This girl was a bad person. This kid was a bad person. Never addressing the fact that the issue is cops need more training. They need recurring training. And we need a system that removes a cop's ability to do something ignorant without being held accountable.
Exactly.
It shouldn't have to be some long drawn out thing. Cops, if a doctor kills you accidentally, malpractice, can't be a doctor no more. If it was because because they were doing something wrong. If a lawyer do something ignorant and misrepresents you, that's it. Lawyer can't be a lawyer no more.
I sure can.
But because of the deep-rooted racism and how it's presented and how it's ingrained in people, there's always a scapegoat for stuff like this. And this is the only, 1 in every 1,000 Black men get killed by a cop. That Black person, gets killed by a cop. It happens so much there's a statistic.
Damn, that's actually pretty high per capita.
We get to play this game where
I didn't know it was that high.
We get to play this game where we pretend that they may try to make every cop an outlier.
It's not that.
Now,
this is a special case. Good person in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. I asked this chance to answer it in regards to the verdict and the killings that's happened after the verdict. Do you feel that was coincidence, or do you feel that was kind of like a get back type thing?
I don't say get back.
Let's say a reactionary type thing.
I think it was just par for the course, man. Like, honestly, I think it was just par for the course. I don't even think it came into a relevant conversation. Like, I don't think they even cared. I think it was just normal, man. I don't think it was a situation where people were like, "Oh, we gonna show them," I just think that they were just.
That's deep.
I saw a cop shoot a dude in the back for running away.
That's deep.
And this is why
I had more guns put on me by cops growing up in LA than anybody else. Had a cop pull me over, told me they thought I stole my car. Had guns drawn on me. I was coming from my military recruiter. They put guns on me before I stopped the car. They told me they thought I stole my car.
That's one of the reasons I got pulled over too.
The hell is wrong with you driving a nice car? You out your motherfucking mind.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm 19. And so that's what I'm saying. I think for them, I don't even think it even crossed their mind to be like, oh, they just probably like, oh, he got caught. Moving on.
All right, so that's
because like 5-6 more people died.
This show.
You know,
it's National Training Organization. We need to make that every week, like we did with the voting thing.
Another thing we're not talking about is mental health. Mental health with these police officers.
We talk about that every week. bro.
We got to talk about this mental health with these police officers.
Look,
man.
we don't talk about only mental health with police. We talk about mental health with just us.
But I think we got to talk about it with police, especially if you serve active duty and you done seen some things and you already suffering
Well, I think cops
from some, you know what I'm saying, from some PTSD, and now you're in a situation. You know what I mean?
To me, after every cop shooting, they should be drawing blood and taking urine.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So let's. It's not. I honestly don't want to hear few bad apples the same way I don't want to hear black on black crime. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because if you think about it, it don't exist.
Thank you.
You're more likely to be victimized
it's a
by
lot.
somebody that lives within your proximity
That's
or
right.
your radius.
We don't
anyway.
call it white on white
We don't
crime.
call it Mexican on Mexican. We don't call it Asian on Asian. So we got to get rid of these things, especially when it comes to law enforcement and it being a chosen profession, which is what I said a few minutes ago. You chose.
Choose a noodle. Choose a
Listen.
profession.
So when I hear stuff like Blue Lives Matter, I'm like, you know,
Me,
you ain't gotta be a cop.
That's a job.
You know what I'm
Listen.
saying?
That's a job. That's not a.
listen,
That's a job.
me and MJ, we talked about this this television show, The Rookie. Did you see the episode when the veteran, the female veteran, came on the force?
Yeah.
And she was ready. She was ready to go in. And she recognized that, you know what, I probably shouldn't be a police officer because of what's affected me from the military. And she chose to actually resign from the police force. The simple fact that, and again, I know it's got a lot to do with finances, got a lot, the money. It's got to do with the money. But as we've been sitting there talking about, there's a lot of money that's been thrown around. So this young lady actually slipped through the cracks. I ain't gonna say, it really wasn't a crack. She walked in because she was a military veteran. And you think about it as being an easy transition because of military uniform code of justice, and then you have the police uniform. What do y'all call y'all's thing? What do y'all call it? Police what? As far as the laws, military uniform code of justice. What do they call the police thing?
SOPs.
Okay, police SOPs. Same thing as
Standards of practice.
Standard operating procedures.
Yes. So anything the same as anything else. But it's you would think it would be an easy transition, but you're not thinking about the mental aspect of it, of what they're bringing back from, especially people that's been at war, active war. I went overseas doing war, but I ain't had to shoot at nobody. I didn't.
Nobody shot at you.
No, nobody shot at me neither. I saw some dead people.
Yeah, that's special.
But that was it. But there's some people that actually went over there and actually had to shoot at people, and actually people had to shoot at them. They're affected differently than what I'm affected. Those type of things need to be, you have to figure out some type of way, I don't know, to see that.
You right on point, bro.
There's a way you have to see that, your way you have to either say, no, you can't, or we need to treat this before you can. Probably no, you can't is the better word, but there's not a lot of people trying to be police right now. So this is why it's able to be, there's a lot of people that's able to get into the police force.
And I think there are societal trade-offs when you have those type of situations. I mean, like basically, for instance, there should be no veteran should be homeless. No veteran should have to wait, 18 months to see a mental health professional. Like, these things should be mandatory.
Yeah.
As soon as you come back. As soon as your tour is ended, you should go through a full battery. They should give you your voucher. You should have somewhere to stay indefinitely. But when bro,
that's how it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I will say this. It is available. I will say this. It is available for a lot of military veterans. I ain't going to say every. I would love to say every. But it is available because I know some military veterans that has come back and taken advantage of it. But a lot of people feel that they're okay. So
it should be mandatory. You should have to fill out paperwork to turn down the housing. To actually go through a battery of mental assessments, before you can say
there's a big gap.
You okay.
Well, the problem.
Well, hold on, see, man. There's a big gap when we're talking about what we're talking about now, because in America we're just now taking mental health seriously in the last 20 years.
Exactly.
Like, period. And when we talk about dealing with people who deal with people every day, people have to use weapons with people every day. But they're not supposed to deal with this with a bunch of human wreckage. We're not supposed to be dealing with a bunch of dead bodies and all that stuff all the time. It damages you and damages you.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, like what we're dealing with, like the issue with Black America and the reason we're targeted so easily and highly by the police comes down to the fact that we are the most impoverished group in the country. Even though we're worth $1.3 trillion, we only have control over a half of 1% of the entire wealth of the country. You see what I'm saying? So when you go into this housing, these areas where Black people live, and again, there's political predatory practices. That's why these things are happening. Because again, you don't see these things happen in Brentwood. You don't see these things happen in Beverly Hills. You don't see this happening in Buckhead every day. The reason you don't is because our cop rolls in there. What's the odds of you making that charge stick?
Right.
You got a cash for bail system, which means I get to arrest you, put you in here. If you ain't got money to bail out, what you gonna do? You gonna plea out because you got a job to go to.
That's that justice system issue that Lo was talking about. I think a part of the problem in America, or particularly like in Washington, is politicians look at people who serve in the military as disposable. You're only good while you are doing whatever we want you to do overseas.
I believe that.
Back here, we don't care about you. So,
Right.
we had a little veterans, thing, that we kind of set up, but
I totally agree. And even the little veterans thing you set up, it takes you
exactly
damn near 9
forever
to 15 months
Which is-
to actually get the phone call or the email back,
which is what I
and
was-
it gets you to
what
the
I was
point.
saying.
It gets you to the point the way you just stop looking for the phone call or the email, then you miss it. Guess what? The cycle starts all over.
Another
back
6
at 0.
months.
You're back at 1.
And hold up, bro, and don't
Bills
forget.
still come, so
Don't
let's say
forget.
the fastest job you can get is another position of authority where you have to carry a firearm and deal with people's freedom and lives, and you end up becoming a police officer.
Excuse me. I'd like to add
Why are you
something
away?
into it real quick because we're getting a little bit. You're right. About 8 years ago, 10 years ago, one of the negative things that's come out of PTSD is they're not hiring law enforcement anymore. Most departments aren't hiring law enforcement. So it's a trade-off. Although some overreact, what you get with somebody that's been in the military before, in law enforcement, you get somebody that's going to react, that's been trained to react, that can take harsh treatment. In words, what you're getting now is millennials that are coming in and they're overreacting. But PTSD, I think that just changed it a little bit because I want to hear y'all's opinion on this. It's a little bit more radical. But I actually worked in one of the worst parts of the city. I shouldn't say that. One of the crime-ridden areas of the city. It's a great area.
What's
Zone 1.
Okay.
So, and before that, I was Red
arrested
Dog,
T.I., didn't you?
SWAT.
You arrested my homie T.I. Did you arrest Tip?
No comment. But what I will say
Forget
is,
that.
I think was,
Forget if you arrested him. Were you over there when? No, go ahead.
when the silencer, the sawed-off shotgun, the automatic weapon, and he didn't go to jail.
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but
we'll talk about that all.
What I will say is this,
Tip.
and it's something I think that a lot of black leaders don't look at, and the country may not care to look at because of the cost of fixing it. You saw everybody said these eloquent things about the military. There should be no homeless military guy. And I want you to look at this, not from your standpoint, but look at this. You have a black kid that grows up in Zone 1, substandard schools. Okay, you have black teachers that basically had a scandal where they were taking the test for the kids so they could get the funding, which is criminal because the principals receive money for bonuses for having a certain number pass. Okay, this went on for years. Then you have no jobs there. They grow up with parents that don't work. It's crime-ridden. It's one of the most violent areas of the city. And I say that these kids, black men, have PTSD worse than soldiers a lot of times. I see it. You guys don't see anything because you
I
guys are
believe that.
intelligent.
Hold on.
I'm talking about when you
Hold
go
on,
to
hold
arrest
on.
somebody and you can almost see
Yeah, I believe that.
when you're dealing with him, when you say,
Hold
hey,
on.
stop, you're not dealing with what he did right then. You're dealing with every interaction he's had with the police since he was 5.
But now think about this.
Well,
as that police officer is dealing with every incident that he's had since he was 5, there are certain police officers that's dealing with the incident that they actually had when they was 25.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
in the
I'm saying it's
military
true,
at
but what
war.
I'm saying they got to look at both ends of it because you know
What's the solution,
But see,
though?
the problem is
means they need to go back. Reagan fucked up mental health care in America.
Yes.
He defunded it.
Yes.
They need to bring back federal funding for mental health care, but people need to actually do studies on how it affects inner city youth. Because I know for a fact, because
Well,
I've been on drug task force, kid in the suburbs, totally different from you when you deal with an inner city kid.
Okay,
I
let me
get that
speak
part.
from the mental health
ahead, Jason.
background. If you my degree is in applied behavioral science.
Okay.
All right, and it's poverty. Period. It's not just black people; it's poverty. Now, the issue when it comes to because poverty has a certain response system. People who live in a impoverished condition, no matter what part of the world, no matter what color their skin are, you're going to get the same responses from the human condition. It don't matter who they are. Trailer park or the project, you pick it. The issue is the operating procedures going into dealing with these people and the assumptions you're forced to have going in.
You always talk about.
So you have a system that's telling you the 12-year-old can be treated as an adult, but only if he's black.
Right, that's
And you're seeing it play out. Now, I mean, to your point, black people in America, we make the average black family makes $41,000 a year.
I'm sorry, say that again. Say that
24%
again,
of black
Jesse.
Americans make. I said black Americans make the average median income from the black family is $41,000 a year.
Yeah. Okay.
24% of black Americans live under the poverty line. So you take that, add to the fact that we have double the nation's unemployment rate. We're over incarcerated. Then you can on TV tell, well, we're just more likely to kill everybody. But all that doctrine came from way like 1705. This is, and they're going in on high alert, thinking this got to be dangerous. It's more dangerous. So, like you said, you got people going in on a high alert all the time because everything is dangerous. But it doesn't matter. But it's just because over here, but over there in the trailer park, you might not be so quick, so rah, because they're just good people in a bad situation.
That's how we look at them, yeah.
And it plays out where you got a dude trying to stab a cop in the neck, and the cop decides to put his gun away and tase him when the dude runs away. Versus a lady who kills a kid because she thought her taser was a gun, which anybody who's ever held a firearm and a taser or even know how it's set up on a belt knows that's damn near impossible.
We hadn't touched on that one.
But it's looked at in two different ways.
Because it's
That
so
damn
obvious.
near out. It's
Because it's
pretty
so
much
obvious. It's so obvious. I mean, she lined her sights up and everything on that little boy. But
Yeah, so for the former police officers, real quick, for the former police officers, because we didn't do a show last week, in regards to the taser versus the firearm, what do you think about that case?
Was she wrong?
Of course, yes, definitely. I mean,
That's why I love my
people say
former
like
cops up here.
I mean, it's a situation where, and I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of people good quality officers are getting out of law enforcement right now. It's not worth it. A lot of them feel it's not worth it. There's other jobs they can do. And what's happening is that 26 veteran, I can't wait till the trial comes around because I want to see where she worked her career.
Now,
Right.
am I correct that she was saying that she was a training officer?
She was a training
officer is just
and
like
and she's
tab
president
put on
of
your
the.
shoulder. It's just like somebody being
that's
on
another
the
problem.
guard in the Marine Corps.
But they still
But that's another problem. If she's the training officer,
All training officers.
You can't use the
Don't-
title till you make a mistake, and now it's like, oh well, you know what
They just gave
What
us
I'm
It's-
saying with training officers, what typically
like,
happens, they're not like, okay, I'll use Atlanta for instance. I've always said they should get one step pay increase to be a training officer. What happens, people do it, and the first couple months is cool, but when you have to stay after and fill out all that paperwork and you're not getting paid for it, or they just want to give you comp time for it, you tend not to attract the best officers to that assignment.
And that situation was just wrong from the beginning. You know, based on the history of that situation was they were already given instructions not to pull over vehicles with expired tags. They were given an instruction because of COVID, they were already so backlogged on issuing new tags to people.
Right.
They were told, do not pull over vehicles with expired tags. So that situation, I guess because she calls herself training, she decides, I see this young black kid in his car, I'm gonna pull him over.
But they gave him two reasons. One was for so we heard the expired tag, but then we also heard about the air freshener thing.
But the problem is he should have been pulled over in the first place.
Which I 100% agree.
The air freshener was seen after they pulled
Fruits of
him
a
over.
poisonous tree are poison.
But then also the black officer actually had the
Exactly.
situation de-escalated. The black officer on the scene had the situation de-escalated.
Well, MJ and I talked about this before. Bottom line is they could have snatched the kid. You know what I mean? It shouldn't even.
It could have been handled a lot of ways,
It shouldn't even.
but it's easier to handle
So the craziness
in the way that's
is,
going to get you the outcome that you most desire.
the craziness is because of, I mean, I hadn't looked into the whole thing, but listening to you right now really bugs me out. This thing is pretty much going to be, right now, ain't nobody really talking about it because of the most recent shooting. Or the most recent 2 shootings? What is it? How many?
Ain't that a
2
damn
or 3
shame?
that's happened since that one.
You got the other guy that was shot.
Shot in the back of the head.
Shot in the back of the head.
Shot in the back of the head. That was in North Carolina, Elizabeth City.
Elizabeth City.
North
Elizabeth
Carolina.
City.
Yep.
That one, was there another one or was it just 2? I mean, I'm losing count.
That was him with it
Which
was
is
a
a
little, the little
problem
boy
that
from-
I'm sitting up here right now
the little
losing
boy in
count.
There was
Chicago.
a young black kid who was killed in
Got another
who was
call?
killed in the high school bathroom,
Right.
and the police officer actually shot himself in that situation. And they
No,
came
there was
in
2 of them.
And that was called
two
because the
cops.
mother
It was
called
like
the
some old-
police on the kid.
some stone key cop.
Yeah, it was.
because he was having an issue at school.
No, he was fighting. He had a fight with her daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
My head hurt.
It was like some Keystone Cop story, man. It was like some weird key. Like you shot me. The dude got his hands behind his handcuffs. You shot him. Then you shot the dude, the suspect, and then you, dude, what are y'all doing in there?
All right, Jesse, stay right there. Hold on for a second. We got another caller. Caller,
Right on,
state your
bro.
name.
Shorter.
What's up, Jaron?
That's
How
a
we
man
doing,
from
man?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Peace,
up,
bro.
bro? Hey, man, this man calls in every.
I'm telling how's y'all are ahead on the phone call than what your broadcast is going. I was given a call to talk to you about the Porter case.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So like Angela, you were saying that she was a training officer. She was training that day. She was training an officer that day. When they pulled him over, he was on the phone with his mother, and he told his mother that he thought that she was getting pulled over for the air freshener, which is a bunch of BS that they pull people over for up here. And secondly, she is supposed to be 26 years on the force or whatever in law enforcement. But at that particular time, when the guy got pulled over, she wasn't the person who pulled him over. She came over to assist with him, and then that morning they had ran a thing on the news where the state of Minnesota had issued out a statement stating that they were starting to crack down on the fact that there were so many people out here with license plates. And they had just started that morning. They had just announced it on that news. So there was information out there to where we weren't supposed to get pulled over for license, but at the same time, the city did try to make an announcement that they were going to start cracking down on it, and then that situation happened.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to
I'm confused on the air freshener thing.
It's a law up there.
It's a law. They
yeah,
can't,
To extort money from the
Can't have dangling. Was it dangling air fresheners or something?
well, from your front,
Right,
from
the
your front
little
mirror.
air fresheners that hang on your front mirror, right. Now, they got people that drive around with the air fresheners and they get pulled over, or black people get pulled over. But you got white people running around with their cameras hanging right, in the same area.
Yeah, I mean, but think about like who created those laws. I mean, who has air fresheners generally? What part of the population generally is going to have that? People who look
Facts.
like us.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. Yeah, not the.
Hey, this legend, that black ice is legendary,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, you gotta have your car smelling good.
Yeah.
One in my mirror right now. Ice.
Taking mine down.
One of the things that I wanted to say to MJ, he had, said that there should be some studies done around PTSD and the inner city. There is at least 3 dozen that I've read,
Yeah,
and I
there
haven't
are.
read them all.
Yeah, there are.
One is from Boston University. This chick named Danielle called the Hood Disease, PTSD and the Hood Disease, which is one of my favorite ones. But I mean, there are studies. The lack of studies or research on the issue is not the problem. I can promise you that. There
Send me that one.
dozens
Well, they're
and
not
dozens.
putting
Send
it.
that one to me.
They're not putting it out there then, because see what happens is like, okay, Atlanta's different. Once again, Atlanta's different because we actually have a special team that comes out with Grady. We has a sleepy needle. When we call somebody comes out, we call a special unit comes out that deals with anybody that's 24, which is a demented person. But prior to that happening, a lot of calls would turn into a beatdown or a physical force being used simply because the person couldn't comprehend, and some people didn't realize, hey, hold on, dude, this guy ain't understanding what you're saying. And a lot of times it goes bad. What I was saying about inner city youth have that issue. If you look at it when Atlanta Police Department was transitioning to the public school system, was getting their own police department, I helped with that transition. It was my first time actually being around kids in school. Hell no, won't do it. But the issue was that I saw a lot of times, and these are black teachers with black kids, the kids would act with such rage that you knew it wasn't stemming from the teacher telling him, where's your homework?
Sure.
But there was nothing to do with that kid once you put your hands on him. Because anybody knows the Fulton County system, it takes so many points to put somebody in juvenile, and the kid didn't deserve to go to juvenile, but nor did he deserve to go to grade A floor. But you knew it was a mental issue. That's what I mean by doing the studies and putting the boots where the pavement is, and start implementing programs so these kids can get the help they need. Because by the time they get 18 and we're really at 20 and we really have to start dealing with them, that's the part, and don't take this the wrong way. That's a lot of times why force is used, because you're dealing with somebody that hasn't been diagnosed as being mentally ill. I'm not talking about the dumb shit like what the female officer did. I'm talking about just the everyday force. When you go, somebody's in Walgreens and arguing with the lady, and you go, come on, man, let's go, let me talk to you. And he just goes off, and you're in a full-blown fight when all it was over a shoplifting of a candy bar.
Yeah,
And now you got to use it.
Or being followed around, thinking I'm going to shop.
Well,
You know what, brother?
Either way, if
If
it's
I can
wrong
say
or
this.
right,
Hey
what
man,
I'm saying is,
but this
the
is why we
overreaction.
speak about
Right.
mental
And
health on this show.
I agree with the
Right.
the lady caller who said that police aren't trained to be mental health professionals, and they should.
Right.
Be. I agree that that's not their position. But how come we can't create something to where, particularly in those types of issues, where you actually have a mental health professional go out with the police?
Cost.
Well,
Cost.
yeah.
Cost. And it's cost, but you also have to do something where I think if they make it where
Get them tanks up, man.
the feds, like if the feds,
Bruh,
if
them up armored Humvees.
like if the feds will go ahead and
Money for other stuff.
pay for your schooling to get all the way through if you do
Exactly.
8 years of service to the public, and then that's how you can get it out there. But right now there's a shortage.
But there are communities that are doing it across the country, though.
But it's not enough.
There's communities that are doing
It's
it.
not enough.
Yeah,
It's not enough. There's
It's
not enough
the
social
communities
workers.
that need it.
Yeah.
It's not the communities that need it. The Brentwood kid that's mad because he didn't get a Corvette like everybody else and goes off. No, that's not the kid that needs it. The kid that needs it is the same kid that's black city, black mayor, black police chief, and those kids are handled a certain way.
That's it. That's
and
in
it
the-
should
that's
never
in
be
the
that way. But
underprivileged
see,
community.
we'll talk about that bad police shooting all day long, but we don't have anybody that'll come out and speak negatively.
Well, and let me just, again, that's what,
Yeah,
to that
hold on,
point,
these folks
man, I
account-
think the issue that we're dealing with is that.
Tab is smiling.
is that right there. Like, it's the response toward black people versus the response in Buckhead versus the response in Bankhead. You know what I'm saying? If I could just use that as just to put a point on it.
Well, let's use Douglasville, Georgia, for example. I mean, Douglasville is a perfect example. I remember some years ago, Killer Mike got on V103, and he actually made an example out of Douglasville, Georgia. He said Douglasville has no excuse to not have any black elected officials. The city population is 66% black. Well, something must have resonated. We took heed, and now
Black sheriff.
we have black sheriff, we have black police chief, black mayor, black coroner, black tax commissioner, black DA who's actually on Sora.
Right.
So to acknowledge what Brother Lowe was saying about getting it at the higher levels, that's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? You have to vote in. You have to vote people in office that you can hold accountable for these things. You know what I mean?
Well, and that also comes with the senators and the senators and the congressmen and the governor, because these mayors can only do so much. Military for a little bit, and I'm telling you, these dudes, man, they don't, bro. The people that need to make the moves, like right now, 100 days, right? President, United States, right? 100 days.
Yeah.
What's happened? What's happened?
Well, he done gave
One dude. Let me like the dude. The dude. They pushed a crime bill against for protection against racism, but in the name of the Asian community. Not to say the Asian community does not need attention. Not to say the Asian community is not dealing with a large level of oppression right now. Dude walks in Georgia, kills 9 people, right? Okay, a couple years ago, a dude who let it be known, I'm here to kill black people, walked into a church and killed 9 people. We got thoughts and prayers.
Right.
And he got walked to the police car with a vest on, and the judge asked the people of the victims.
Who knew the thoughts and prayers meant so
no, hold on, bro. He asked the victims to forgive him because North Carolina is a forgiving state.
Yeah. Christians or black Christians are forgiven.
South Carolina.
So, what I'm saying is the law, the federal government is more forgiving in certain circumstances. And like my man said, like we need, because again, the people who put Black America in this situation wasn't black governors. It was the federal government with redlining. It's a federal government who's not put one piece of legislation down that said that we need to protect and preserve the sanctity of life when it comes to African Americans. Not one piece of legislation identified us as people in need, we are dealing
and George Biden,
when you're talking about our unemployment rate
within his first 30 days for Asian Americans. That exact same
thing. You see what I'm saying? We're at 100 days, and we're wise man's in office.
Most black people voted for.
And this is to my man's point.
What are we doing about it?
What are we doing about it? What are the people who have the majority of the black wealth doing?
He did.
And how are we holding them accountable?
I've been speaking out on it. But I agree with you. I mean, you're absolutely right. I do think that there are I just actually did a quick Google search. There is a toolkit that has been developed for partnerships between mental health and police department. There's been a lot of research on it. Why police departments don't take, so you can't say that, well, we need more research. No, because the police departments choose not to read the research and use it for training purposes, for redeveloping how they actually police, particularly communities of color, is square on the police department. I can show you a toolkit that was made by the Department of Justice right here. I have it right here. I can show you. And there's several of them and things like that. And there's several communities that use that. And so when a particular city or police department chooses not to use what's out there,
go ahead.
One thing with law enforcement, a lot of people don't see. Atlanta, our budget is a couple $100 million, I think, whatever it is, the budget for law enforcement. Most jurisdictions, a person goes to state mandate, and only training they get after that in their departments is the refresher every year that's required.
No more training.
That's it.
Because retraining is literally the thing that the military does to keep people from sucking up dumbass,
Exactly.
dorm lawyer logic that comes from people who are broken, worn out, and off from their experiences in the system. In the Air Force, they call it rebluing.
Okay. So let me ask you that. I know we've always been talking about a national training organization. Should we also start calling out retraining on our show?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a part of it.
Because I mean, we've always talked about a national training organization. And every time I thought about it, I was like, a national training organization will probably train only new officers coming onto the force. Retraining would train the officers that are on the force. I mean,
well, you start with the
They just have
training.
mass training. They just have mass
something
training come out.
controversial? I don't think it's a training issue.
I don't think it's
I
a
don't think
training
training
issue
is going
either.
to solve the problem. I think. I think it's a racism issue. You can't train racism out of the heart. The people who are killing black people.
But you can train it. But you can train accountability.
No. You can have it. You can train accountability.
you can have it.
No, what I'm saying is you can have accountability through your training, though. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, because what I think, I think they can hide it.
You can.
I do believe that if you are racist, you can hide it.
You're racist.
Yeah.
You can hide it to get through some type of training. But because that training was actually given, then once you do certain shit,
That's where the accountability.
you can say, yo, we did not train you to do this. The thing is right now, which is what everybody is saying, is that he or she was trained to do exactly
They're blaming
what
the
they
system.
did.
Yeah.
It's no, I ain't gonna say no. Yeah, the military and when I was in corrections, we were taught to shoot center mass. We wasn't taught to shoot at the legs. When I was in corrections,
you're in war.
if somebody went across the fence, we were taught to shoot center mass. We weren't taught to shoot him in the legs so he can come back to prison. We were taught to shoot center mass so he could not come back to prison.
Sure.
So that he couldn't try and escape again,
You
I
guys
guess.
were created for times of war and trained for times of war. This ain't a war.
No, but
corrections.
but
It wasn't.
I think with
I
training
wasn't.
where
I was in corrections. I was a jailer. I was keeping people in jail.
But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you guys see those negative clips. But what you don't see is the high intensity of certain calls you get in the situations that you're in on a regular basis.
Where people actually don't get killed.
Hey, not only they don't get killed, but the people that you're dealing with, some of the what's the word? The uncleans. When you're dealing, you deal with some situations, man, that are.
No. I completely understand.
You can understand it, but my point is.
Hold on.
But
Somebody bought us some flowers.
It's the situation they're dealing with. It's not every situation is not what you see on TV.
No, I'm telling you, I understand that. I'm telling you, I can, but I have the ability to see things from both sides. You know what I'm saying? And I can put accountability on both sides. But one thing that we also haven't talked about is the privatization of the criminal justice system that has led to a lot of this over policing. Like when you have
which goes up here, where I keep telling y'all
that goes way up there.
I keep telling y'all.
That's old. That's it.
It goes up, but we all know the shit rolls downhill. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the shit tends to land on us.
But I get what you're saying. But what he was saying earlier was you have to attack because in North Carolina, when I was a correctional officer, I found out that North Carolina had the most in one state. I don't know what it is now. But back then, I ain't gonna tell my age. Back then, they had the most state-ran prisons of any state in the United States.
I believe it.
And when I was in corrections, it was crazy that I would say most of the inmates that it wasn't over 50%, but it was probably 40% of the people in there were not actually from North Carolina. So the state was actually making money off of people that actually came to the state.
Good money too. That's what they do.
That goes back to that's the whole 13th Amendment conversation.
Let me add this about
The same kind
training.
of money they make off of students in those desks, they make the same money off of bodies in those cells, in those cells and in those beds.
But add one more thing to training. Training's needed, and it should be mandated And if you go to a federal level, because what happens now when an officer, and some officers like that aspect of it, it's a one job you can get where you're in total control. And that's what's bad about it, because if we're all five of us are police officers operating in Atlanta, we get the exact same call at 6 different locations. If we could all go to the 6 different locations, same time, same call, they're going to have 5 different outcomes. Whereas if you have more mass training, everybody's on the same page, it takes a lot of the objectivity out of it. Because right now, I can come in and I might just not like the way you wear your hat. And some officers are that petty.
Right.
But if officers are professional and you got body cams now, that's why I think body cams should be mandated that every sworn officer in America has to wear them. But see where the problem comes in.
And if you turn it off, you should be.
If you're 25,
you should be in trouble.
Yeah, no. In Atlanta, you're fired. In Atlanta, if you turn your
Body cam.
body cam off on a hot call, you're fired. But hot call meaning use of force.
Gotcha.
Now let me ask you this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let's say you're on your way to a hot call, you never turn it on.
It has to be on 24/7.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. I mean, I know everybody wants to be a boogeyman, but that boogeyman doesn't exist. Because as soon as you get on the call, you got to tap it.
If these folks can pay for the cameras in the express lane and the Peach Pass lane, and they can pay for cameras on these buses, then damn it, you can
It's not
pay.
the cameras. The cameras are only like
It's the
2,800.
data. No, I
It's the
understand
data,
it's the data.
So
But
the
hell,
federal
everybody going to the
government-
cloud anyway. Like, we keep making excuses for not wanting to spend the money on things that not only can preserve life when necessary, but it can also enhance the integrity and the perception
does.
of law enforcement.
Here's the thing: they're not paying for it not because they don't have the money to pay for it.
Let's just talk about the big old elephant nobody talking
But they
about.
don't want it. This
No,
they don't
that's
care about black
BS.
people.
That's
they showed
total
that family
BS.
20 seconds
That's
of that
total
video
BS.
when they killed that boy.
It costs
They showed that boy 20
too
seconds.
much
They showed that
money.
family 20
Now,
seconds
just
of that
for the
video.
Yo,
Everything costs too much money, but you find money.
No, I'm not
to pay
saying
for
they
what you
should.
want to.
Tax base unless Buckhead leaves. But what's happening in these smaller counties, when they're putting in the paperwork.
That's 40% of the doggone.
There's
But my
already
point
another
is,
Buckhead in South Georgia, so it's
if
kind of
you're
hard for them to
in-
leave as Buckhead.
Yeah, if you're in Putnam County, Georgia, and you have, say, I'm just saying, if it had a population of 10,000 and 60% of people live below the poverty line, and now you're trying to get body cams for it, you can get. At first, there was federal funding to supply body cams. For storage, has to come from your jurisdiction. Sure. Now you're talking about taking a couple 100,000. So if you're storing every single officer's action for his whole shift, 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours. 365 days out of a year, it gets expensive.
Well,
That's
don't
what I'm saying.
complain when we don't trust
Well,
y'all.
hold on,
If
bro.
y'all
Hold
don't
on.
want
Let me
to
just-
put in measures where y'all can
No,
be
they
held
want to do it.
accountable
It's
and-
not the
and
police
promote that
department.
integrity.
It's the funding.
Well,
Man,
yeah, that's
sell
what I'm saying. It's not the
them
police
tanks. Man, sell
department
that
in this
extra
situation.
equipment.
Everybody don't have-
Use it
everybody
for
don't have
that
tanks.
10,000
Everybody don't have tanks,
10,000
man.
but there are a lot of jurisdictions out there that have way more equipment that they're just sitting
No,
on.
bro,
in
I think
case something
now
goes
we're talking
down.
about higher politics in the United States. Like, in this conversation, we're talking higher politics in the United States.
Of course we are.
Because we're definitely talking militant police, but I'm saying, like, think about this. COVID happens, right? Suddenly the government finds $2 trillion. Out of nowhere. We just found $2 trillion. After screaming poor for how long?
Money ain't gonna be worth shit in 10 years, boy.
Hey man,
So,
we
Part
to
two,
his
invest
point,
in Bitcoin, then y'all be straight. I don't
to
believe
his
it's a funded
point, to
initiative.
his point,
I think that's
training
an excuse.
Y'all got
is
Hemis
more
and
than
all this
should be more than required because of the outcome. It would save the state more money
All my drug
because
money
I've
that
seen
y'all
how much money
confiscated,
Chicago had to pay in bills as covering cops in bad behavior. It would cost them less money to train people to create annual training than it would cost them to settle lawsuits.
Exactly.
No, we have annual
You
training.
have annual training. You have certain training, but the training
I'm
is
talking
just
about
not.
retraining. I'm just talking about retraining. That's all.
Even the retraining, there's certain things not as in depth. I mean, you got for Georgia, you got posts, and there's a certain number of hours that you're required to do. and that's it. And some agencies, that's all they go
And that's
with.
what I'm saying.
They
So
go
it shouldn't be
with
no
bare
mistake. So
minimum.
if that was the case, then there shouldn't be no mistake.
Well, it's not.
should be no oops, my bad.
I'm saying every agency is not required. I don't know what the police academy is now. When I was there, it was
No, brother, I
6
think
months.
that's-
They go above and beyond what the basic
Brother,
training
what I'm
is.
saying is
But
it
there's
should
some
be
agencies you can
required.
just go
I
to a
think that's-
post-certificate school and you're done.
You're done.
And
And
you got
you're
a gun.
done. And you
No,
got a gun in
my
bag.
point
And
is
you're on
that
the
it should be
streets.
required.
And that,
My point is that it should be required.
no, it should be.
It's like gun control, right? You say gun control. People are like, oh, we got to do this. No, we don't got to do none of that. Gun control, make it mandatory that people go through training. That way, if they mess up, they can be held completely accountable without any question.
I have a Second
So
Amendment
if everybody
right.
was mandatorily trained, these cops that do things like, I don't know, I mistook my handgun for my taser, that's not a conversation. I need
Yeah, but you still go back to the point of racism, bro. Training is not going to take out racism.
Thank you, sir.
No, but we're not talking about taking out racism. We're talking about
Training is
so
not going to
racism-
take out racism, bro. You
Did you hear what I,
sound.
but
You
hold on, did you
sound.
hear what I said though? I'm not. You can't.
Yeah, I understand.
Racism is a system and a practice. It's supported by doctrine, and it's sort of by doctrine and a system and a system.
Correct.
Like bigots are
Correct.
bigots
So-
100 days of the
What
year.
what training
But
will
if you
do
hold bigotry accountable,
is bring the
that's the move.
accountability to where racism is accounted for.
No, it won't, because the people that are in the law ain't changing the law.
I think that's
They
true.
have it set up for them to not be accountable.
Which is
And
what
we're
I
talking
said
about changing,
earlier.
and that's what
That's
we're
my
talking about.
point.
The police
But that's my
officers, the
point of
sergeant, the
that we're
captain,
attacking
all
the
of them
police
are
officers.
racist.
We're attacking the lowest level of this situation. That's my point earlier. We're attacking the
Correct.
lowest level.
Correct.
We have to go up top. We're going from bottom up, and that's where the problem is.
See.
You have to,
You
even
talk
some of these
to
racist
senators,
cops,
the congressmen, the governors.
exactly,
I-
all of that. You have
I've-
to attack
I've
the
always said-
judges.
What's
When they get to the courtroom, some of these judges be like,
Like
"Get
that
this
one
out of my
cop- like that
courtroom.
one judge
Don't
that
bring
went
this
to
to my
jail.
court."
What's the
For
recent
selling
judge?
kids.
What's the recent? I can't remember what state he was in. There's a recent judge that basically was listening to a case and it said nigga like 3 times.
The judge said it?
Yes.
Wow.
But there was a judge that said nigga 3 times. They got him off the case. They did get him off the case. But the thing is, like you said, what it does with the retraining, you're right. It's not going to retrain racism. If we're training you to do a certain thing, it's not going to be 100%, but it will help with accountability. I feel anyway.
Because some people only do it because
that it will help with some accountability.
If it's nationwide,
If it's nationwide.
and then these counties only
And-
have
yeah.
10, 13
And I'm-
officers. You got to have some oversight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
We need
that's when those
federal
complaints. That's when those
legislation.
complaints
You
that don't
still
work
need
because
to
there's no oversight.
militarize.
I guess this is what and I think we're probably saying the same thing. We're saying it differently.
Right.
When you
Right.
when you say training, I'm thinking of
The basic stuff.
basic stuff, techniques, things like that. I think the problem is the standards of procedures, or what do you guys call it?
Standard
SOP.
Standard
Or
of
make
those
procedures.
nationwide.
I think
Everybody
that
was-
needs
War
to
conflict.
change.
Yeah,
Because,
everybody
like you
the
said,
same
that
way.
It could be a justified shooting
Yeah,
like
but-
of Ma'Khia Bryant, but still, while it's justified within your current standards of practice or procedures, I think that those standards of procedures need to change, and then you train to whatever those new standards
all of them are to include the training that you just deal with. What's the title when you're just dealing with people? How you handle certain situations, how you handle certain communities, how you handle,
That's the training that needs to be-
diversity training,
Cultural training, cultural sensitivity
all those. Which
Just don't
APD
have-
does do, but a lot of people don't do it. They don't have it. It doesn't exist.
I can't speak for
It needs to be-
law training that has been a part of the culture.
Yeah, but that's
diversity
that-
have been. Wait, let me say.
Yeah.
My point is that it's been a part of the training mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
not only for incoming new social. Ongoing, and studies have shown that it hasn't done anything. That black people still have worse outcomes in all of those systems. And that's why I'm a trainer. I've been a trainer for 20 years, and I'm one of the best. I get paid top dollar to train people, and I tell people when they call me, I can promise you this ain't gonna change the situation. This is not gonna solve your quickest thing to do. We can say we gave them a training type of thing, and that's
the
why I'm
issue,
saying,
because
as a professional trainer who trains in 4 different systems.
And you're right, because you said it right there. It's like culture sensitivity in Georgia. You can go onto the state website. It's a two-hour course. You get 2-hour credits towards your post that you have to do. It's online.
Yeah.
And so they don't take it serious.
But even when it's in person, I do 4 and 5 day, multiple day trainings for social workers, for teachers, for juvenile probation officers, and for mental health professionals. And still, research shows that even after they get, and most of them are, well, generally 40 hours worth of training.
But what happens?
Culture and diversity or sensitivity, whatever.
Exactly, but the issue is the fact that social workers can't do their actual job because they're dealing with 500 people instead of a 25 they're supposed to be dealing with. So they can't actually do their jobs. With law enforcement, where it will make a difference is because if you ever go outside of Atlanta, being in fugitive, and you go there and we're stacked up to go hit a warrant, and you see these other jurisdictions, we got the bag, and they're pulling deer rifles out of a trunk, and hey, dude, this is a trailer. The bullet will come through and kill everybody in the stack, and things like that. It's just training, levels of training. And so what I'm saying, if everybody's trained on the same level, when there's interactions with inner city people or people of our color, that's what I'm concerned about right now. Okay, our color, everybody's going to be dealt with the same way. It's not going to be because he whooped his wife's ass last night or I whooped my wife's ass last night. Now we got attitude on you because your wife's mouthy. She going to jail. Take their personal opinions and interject them in how they police.
But even with training, they still can take
the difference is, and the
They
difference
get away
between
with it
social
because you
work
have a badge.
the difference between social work and everything else, that's why I said mandated. If they took the Atlanta police policy, I'd say probably 40% what happens in America would stop. The camera is on 20.
I get what you're saying, but I also get what he's saying because, again, with that, as he say, the people up top can say, listen, he was trained to do it such and such way, but he decided to do it this way. It's a little different in your arena because usually, I'm gonna say all the time, they don't kill somebody. So to take out racism, but it at least will say, well, we taught him this training, diversity training, so he or she should know that type of deal. But listen, y'all, we done went way over our time limit. Luckily, our engineer, our main engineer is not here. Callers, Jesse, go ahead. Jesse, you still there?
My probation officer going.
Jesse already gone.
Out past curfew.
Minnesota, you still there? Gone. All right, so we're gonna start up here. MJ has the longest because he has a lot of titles. Go ahead and let him know.
I was just 30-year vet, had a lot of hats in law enforcement, but I want to talk about is, like I say at the end of every show, if you think you've been wronged by law enforcement and you haven't, file an official complaint. Don't talk about it like everybody does, black. You talk for 29 hours about the 92 times you were mistreated, but every time somebody's came on the show and I ask them, nobody actually files a complaint.
I feel
file
attacked.
a complaint. You also have a right.
I feel like you talking to me, bro.
You also no, I'm not. No,
Hey,
you
kind of,
have no
talking to the brother though.
Plus, you also do this. It's very important. Ask for a supervisor. Ask for a supervisor. If you remember that officer that was mistreating that lieutenant, did you see how he started backpedaling? And hey man, I'm gonna do you a favor, you know.
I ain't gonna report you.
I'm not gonna report you because you know what? His buddy the whole time was like, you motherfucker. Because that in itself, that also at some point, and this is what you got to start having punitive measures against officers that allow another officer in their presence to do something that's not reactionary. It's not reactionary. If you just react and do something, you ride it yourself. But if I sit there and watch Low watches me kick somebody's head in for 10 minutes or sit on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and 21 seconds, that should be criminal. And hopefully that's going to come out of this also. The officers that watch that occur have to be dealt with also.
Right.
But as a people, going back to that, and I'll get off my soapbox, as a people, we need to talk to young black males and start as a teacher, if you have, or if you're dealing with somebody and you know he's got stuff he's holding inside, deal with him, because what typically happens, get him the help he needs, because if you don't, when law enforcement deals with it, it's never pretty. It's never pretty. And that's one thing that needs to get, but if we teach young black men and women how to deal with police, you shouldn't have to do it, but that goes both ways. If you know the law, you can say, well, also, why are you violating my rights? Just like when you got your lawyer on the time, that officer's ass got tight, he sucked in the patrol car, and what did he want to do? Get the hell out of there as quick as possible. But if you teach people to do it right, and black people, I say it on every show, loud doesn't make right. And we need to quit backing up. Every time an unclean does something, we just jump on the bandwagon because they black too. No, let's not do that, people. Hold the people accountable person for their actions, and it'll get better. But we need to stress national academies. That's all I got.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all having me on. Very, very spirited conversation. Very, very respectful conversation. I learned a lot. You know, it's all of the brothers and sisters out there in law enforcement. I know it is not an easy job on your psyche, but we need y'all out there. But like I said, I'm gonna stick with my original point. Accountability for everybody, which y'all know me. That's my thing. I preach accountability, don't matter what the situation is. Also in recognition of a national culture. You know what I mean? So we have to figure out productive and very, very cunning ways, it seems like, to survive and navigate this country. But hey, it's par for the course. Twice, critical thinking never goes out of style. Be aware of your surroundings. I think that's what the brother was trying to say on the end. You know what I mean? Don't give them a reason, because they gonna come down on you. So, you know, that's my thing. But like I said, appreciate y'all, man. Y'all can find me at Monk ATL, Music Monk ATL. Holler at me, let me know if y'all think I'm a complete asshole, or if y'all rocking with what I'm saying. All right, peace. Everybody be safe out there.
You wasn't here earlier.
No.
The first question that was asked was six shootings. The 6 shootings of black unarmed men since the verdict. Coincidence or get back?
I think it was. I would say get back. That's gonna be my. Yeah, I think that officers who think like that and are like that, they are trying to maintain their way of life and how they deal with black people. And so I do believe that it was. I don't know all 6. I'm thinking of 3 or 4 in my mind. So there's a couple that I think I missed, but at least the ones that I'm thinking of in my mind, I would definitely say get back. That they don't want. Change doesn't. Losing weight, you know, changing how we treat our spouse or our girl. You know, nobody likes change, and so change is hard, and so we automatically fight against change when that kind of comes, which means that black people are going to have to fight harder. My last words?
Last words, and let them know they can follow you.
My last words is police ain't shit, except MJ and Love. No, I'm just playing.
Hey, damn it, I wish we had a bell. Hey, man. We out. That's how you end the fucking show. We out.
Right, yeah.
We out.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
Except for the police officer.
No, man. I think it's a great discussion. I love the different points of views. I love how we can debate it, still be cool, still love each other, even though we see different perspectives. Like my man here, I learned some stuff, you know, and I think Lo made a comment that really resonated. That, you know, unless you are a police officer, you can't you'll never truly understand that particular piece. And I do agree with that particular piece, but at the same token, I still think that we have to find a way as a community where police officers cannot kill unarmed, dangerous, or people who aren't dangerous, or even if they are dangerous. I think that there should be ways and approaches to preserve someone's life, to give them their day in court. And so I think that can happen because it happens with white people all the time. It only doesn't happen with us.
They
And so,
get that due process.
and so I think that the lady, the actual, I saw a statistic, an article that came out after George Floyd's murderer, I don't even like to say his name, but after this murderer was convicted on 3 charges that he was convicted of, and said, don't get too excited because this isn't the norm. 1 in 2,000 officers are convicted for killing unarmed black people.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about qualified immunity. We didn't say, it was a lot of stuff that we didn't even really get into, but hey.
Yeah,
You disagree with qualified immunity?
I mean, if you pay them,
Yes.
See, no, but see,
Absolutely.
You know why?
Pay them
Most
folks
people
$100,000,
don't
you
understand
won't
what
need-
actual qualified immunity is. We have another show on this.
it
right.
don't work for you. That's why, because it don't work for you. That's the whole point.
Qualified
You can't
immunity
use, like I
doesn't deal
can't
with
use
that.
stand my ground. You can't use qualified immunity. And them is facts.
It doesn't deal with an officer. See, this. Let me shut it down.
I thought we was doing last.
Qualified immunity does not deal
Struck a
with
nerve. That qualified immunity struck a nerve.
officer's
boy.
bad actions. If an officer does something wrong, he's not covered under qualified immunity. He's covered under qualified immunity for mistakes or injuries or anything that happens while he's doing the right thing legally. So if an officer's doing the wrong thing, he's not covered under the color of law qualified immunity.
By definition, that's correct.
But by application, selectively.
Unfortunately, there
gonna go ahead and
are
wrap
situations, right, that probably get away. But you know, this scenario, I think I don't necessarily think it was get back, but I definitely think there's situations that in this country they're just bad. You know, there's police officers that are just flat out not good police officers, and they don't do our community and our justice system any justice. But I'm a firm believer, and I've been saying this since we started this podcast, that we are attacking the bottom up as opposed to the top down. You know, and until we start going after the justice system, the officials who make some of these laws, Asia's been given $50 billion, you know, just like that, speaks volumes on what the government can do if they choose to. You know, national training, things of that nature. It's not like these things are far-fetched. They're not far-fetched. They're very much can be reality, but our government doesn't take the killing of black and brown people seriously. I mean, they take words like China virus more serious than the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all the other many people we can just go down and name. They take the word China virus more serious than that. That became an offense, but killing us is not offensive. You know, and until we start attacking those things from a higher level than just those beat officers on the streets, not giving them any freedom to do what they're supposed to do, they do what they have been doing, not saying some of these things are justified, because a lot of them are just straight up murder. But we have to attack the system from the top down, not the bottom up.
Angelo said a lot of the things that I wanted to say. First thing, Brandon, we both ordered gray shirts. His is a little different than mine. I wanted that one. But while we're talking about the shirts,
Yeah. Get all that.
focus on this.
It's real. That's real.
The simple fact that somebody can make these shirts and know that they can make money off of them because the shirt is a true statement is a problem. We can't put names on this shirt because of the simple fact that we know we're going to need it again. So now we can keep reusing them. Even though I wanted that color, mine's a little different.
I like that color better.
I actually wanted
blue.
I kind of wanted that one, but it'll work. Brandon, I won't work with you on this. But getting back to it, the fact that these shirts can be made right now and can damn near be a fashion statement is a problem. Serious problem. A hat is a fashion statement. But when I can put something on, somebody can put something on a shirt and leave the name blank and it can keep repeating itself, that is a serious, serious problem. Now it comes from, we've had a lot of different opinions and it comes from both sides. Yes, I feel there's some issues in the police department. Totally. But I've been preaching this since we started this show. We got to clean up our own damn backyard. We've been saying this. We have the ear of America. What the hell are we going to do with it? What have we done with it? Well, we have shot up Lenox Mall. Now, I'm just talking about Atlanta right now. Some gas stations we shot up. I mean, just been acting crazy. We have to clean up our own backyard. As long as our backyard, the front yard, as long as our front yard is messed up, man, these people are not going to pay no attention to what we're saying. Understand that. Parents, somehow get a hold of the young ones, yours, uncles, mentors, whatever. However you can spread the word, man, get a hold of them. Grab a hold of them. My engineer, yeah, boy, that dude, man, he go crazy. I coach him in flag football. Loses his mind. Every now and then I have to reel him in. That's what it's about. You have to reel him in sometimes, man, and he ain't doing nothing crazy. He's just hollering at referees. But there's people out here right now ready to slap the police, ready to slap women, ready to slap kids, and nobody is willing to step up and reel them in. We have to clean up our own before we can expect somebody to actually come in and listen to us. Understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, listen, the Shell of a Man stage play is coming back on August 14th and August 15th. We're going to be back. I'm going to be starring in that. I just finished Vegas Cigar Week, me and my wife. We are brand ambassadors of the cigar community. We are cigar enthusiasts. That's what we call ourselves.
Can I show you on pictures?
No, do not pull that picture up. Do not pull that picture up. This dude is, oh man. Don't send it to him. Yo.
Can I say something about my podcast?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things, JT, I agree. I think that there are things that the black community needs to do better. I don't agree that if we got all that straight, then the police will deal with us differently. I think that some police, it doesn't matter.
Because
there has
not saying that.
When you look at the civil rights movement, black people wore suits and they didn't act like that. They still got treated. So I don't think that just by us acting right or whatever, I think that there are people just like the guy who was pulled over that wasn't supposed to be pulled over, for an expired plate, or the air freshener and stuff like that. So there's still going to be incidences no matter what we do. When they pulled the gun and shot the guy, in front of his girlfriend in the car. So, I mean, there's still going to be incidents like that. I don't think that even if we act like they want us to act, they're still going to, treat us poorly. But that doesn't negate the fact that we still, as a people, need to kind of handle and understand our children. I have a podcast. It's called The Daily Jam, me and my two partners. And we focus really on teen issues and how to deal with teens. So it's for parents, it's for social workers, it's for teachers, it's for juvenile probation officers, anybody who works with teens, mental health professionals, even police officers, And so we try to help people to kind of understand teenagers. You can find that podcast on... it's streaming on all your major platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, a bunch of other ones. You just go whatever you listen to podcasts, you can search The Daily Jam, and you'll find us. And we just started season 3. We actually recorded on Sunday. That will actually be released next week, Monday. It's a 2-parter. One will be released on Monday and one will release on Wednesday. And so it's all about teens, helping people to understand teens and really become a fan of teens so that we can kind of deal with them differently.
This podcast is dope, real talk. I've viewed it a couple of times. I've actually been on the podcast. The brothers on the podcast, they're dope, for real. So make sure that you tune into that. Don't stop tuning into this one. Understand? I mean, we ain't got no thing to say jam that, you know, gives the initials of all their names. It's just classic conversations with JT and Low. And listen, man.
And Ask a
yeah.
Cop.
And our resident, Mr. Ask a Cop over there, Mr. Uninfected. What is infected? Infected and
Unclean's better
and
than
uncleans.
Unclean.
And Mr. Unclean's over there. But listen, we will be back next week with some more conversations. Again, man, what our conversation is about. We basically want to have some dialogue for the community, hoping that this dialogue will spark a solution within our community. That's what it's all about. So y'all make sure y'all tune in next week. I think that's gonna this weekend at Uptown.
This weekend we got Heavy Load, Lawrence Owens and AD. Lawrence Owens out of Maryland, DC area. AD's here, man. Gonna be a great show. Yeah, you got the picture up. That's hilarious.
JT and
Hey,
Kyle.
listen, and if you haven't got your tickets yet for Monique, May 14th and 15th, Saturday night show's already sold out. Only 15 tickets left for 8 o'clock Friday and like 40 tickets left for 10:30 Friday. So if you're waiting, it's almost too late. Just know. All right?
JT and Kai at Cigar Week.
Yo, that's gonna do it for us, man. Listen, my shoes is dope though. Listen, we out, man. Till next week, we're gonna holler at y'all.
You got the hat too.
Hilarious.
Love it.
Hilarious.
This will be my last time on the show, I'm sure.
Classic conversations with JT and Low, and we are out. You dig?
Or a Republican, nor an American. I speak as a victim of America's so-called democracy. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. If you go to jail, so what? If you're black, you were born in jail.
Let's start with the abuse of the power. These cowards plucking black lives like flowers. No remorse, while the screams of our mothers get louder. Each encounter gets encountered with a Facebook Live. And still that's not saving our lives. I ain't making up lies. I know you seeing social media. They beating us and treating us so devious. Shooting us then leaving us. Provoking us then choking us. But wanting respect or want answers with your knees on our neck. I can't breathe. Eating my Skittles while I scribble my notes. Contemplating on how I should vote. Got my back on the ropes. I'm from a hood where we learn from our losses. They come from a hood where they burning them crosses. We ain't the same. Panic's at an all-time high. I try hard saying I won't cry. Leave the house hoping I don't die. Looking up to the sky. Say a prayer hoping I survive. Anthony Hill, 26-year-old war veteran, was at an apartment complex in Atlanta where someone said he was crawling around naked, knocking on doors, acting deranged, so they called the cops. Now instead of showing up and giving this veteran the proper help that he needed, he was shot twice and killed, unarmed and naked. Yo, these kids supposed to be the future, but they shooting them down. Over toy guns and music, they get stretched on the ground. It's cause they skin brown. They gotta drown in their own blood. While these cops getting slapped on the wrist by a judge. No accountability for what we see. Are you kidding me? They don't de-escalate no more, they shoot and go free. Unjustified justification. We playing in funerals while they playing in vacations. They get gratification. One nation under two different laws. The motivation needs no explanation. The system is flawed. They shooting up the mall, even killing in churches. With proof they get away with the murder. We can't break up a fight, have a broken tail light, or just run. If your phone is in your hand, they still screaming a gun. Get your wallet out your pocket, they get scared cause you black. Or kicking your door, put two on your back, and have the wrong address. 22-year-old Kane Rogers was shot and killed by a police officer responding to a suspicious person possibly breaking into vehicles. As seen on his dash cam, he swerved in front of Kane's car at the last second, so Kane avoided his car. He jumps out, starts shooting, strikes him, and kills him. He said Kane tried to run him over. dash cam shows something completely different. People putting pressure on politicians, the plot thickens. Purpose with a passion for past victims, the past hit hard. Scarred hearts in different parts of the country. Graveyards making plenty of money, while the scene getting ugly. But see, it don't make sense, cause the expense don't cover the suspense of being colored, while days are being numbered and our nights are getting tougher. These ages getting younger, everything makes me wonder how we living in the land of the free, but your life is the price. Cops throwing bullet shells like rice, and a routine stop could be the end of your life, cause you don't have the right to be defending your rights. My nephew caught 76 from these pricks cause they flipped. Come to find out, it was nothing he did. Another young man, gunned down and gone. Rest in peace to Jamarion. Word. Jamarion Robinson, 26 years old. He was at his girlfriend's house watching TV when the cops kicked in the door and let off over 100 shots, hitting him 76 times. And all this was captured on Facebook Live. Investigators say somebody actually stood over his body and shot down into him. After they dragged him down the stairs and show his mom a picture of the suspect who allegedly pulled a gun on a cop, who was the wrong person.
This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. Oh yes, they are. They have never had a bloodless revolution or a non-violent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. It'll be liberty or it'll be death. And if you're not ready to pay that price, don't use the word freedom in your vocabulary.
First and foremost, my heart goes out to the families of Anthony Hill, Kane Rogers, and Jamarion Robinson. If you Google those names, you'll see their stories, you'll see the released pictures and video footage that's out. There's so many other families just in Atlanta alone that are dealing with the same situations of police brutality, where there's no justice as of yet for any of them. I'm not directly connected to him, but I am connected to Monteria Robinson, who's Jamarion's mom. And she's been going hard, man, putting in the work, making sure her son's case doesn't just disappear